Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. I have another channel on astrology and a Facebook page on which I wrote prophetic writings for years, and you find that in the description box below. There are some individuals who are stealing my identity and my intellectual property. This is illegal. If you see my work somewhere, please let me know. Um, I think this video is going to be short. God has guided me to talk about a topic which doesn't, I mean, I would say it's not necessarily a spiritual fighting matter. It's more of a life approach matter. Namely, that many individuals have joined wrong groups. I'm not going to say convents or other organizations, just wrong groups in general, even getting involved in gang stalking and doing all this shit and many other bad choices in life, basically being led astray from the right path because of bullying, because of peer pressure, because of wanting to fit in, and stuff like this. So God asked me to talk about this. Now, again, I say this, of course, you will encounter this in spiritual fighting, but I believe, this is one of the instruments in spiritual fighting. It's a psychological dimension. In fact, much of the spiritual fighting, it's a psychological war, you know. And once you start seeing things this way, once you understand that this is a psychological war, then you will understand that these are weapons used against you. Bullying, intimidating. As you go along with them, they will start with blackmail, with all sorts of things like this, basically to force you on a different path. Now, I'm not gonna just place general judgment on everyone. The fact of the matter is that you're an adult and your choices are triggering consequences which you will pay for. So I think the first question you need to ask yourself is, are you willing to pay the price for the consequences of your actions? Is that important to fit in that you're willing to pay this price? Again, personally, I view this as a psychological war, and for this reason, all of these are instruments. Now, if you want to win the war, you don't allow it. To me, it's pretty simple, right? You just keep your focus. I mean, as long as you create a very clear image of what is going on, I think it should be easier to deal with these issues. So again, it's a psychological war. These are weapons. Your aim is to win the war. Therefore, you don't allow any of this to reach you, to attack, to influence you, and to influence your decision making. This is why and I think, of course, a lot of it it can be carried out on subconscious level. This is why it's important that you sit with yourself, you meditate, and you reflect upon this, and you make conscious decisions on how to deal with this. And this, I will say, it means that you have to define a specific approach to life and relations in general, and this will determine your approach. I mean, you cannot make decisions individually on one situation only. This one bullied me, I should follow what he says. The other one bullied me, but I will not follow what he says. You should be coherent. If you say, I don't give in to pressure, for example, this is my approach. Okay, I'm gonna share. God says, say how you think. Okay, my approach is the following. From a very early age, nobody's intimidating me, nobody's pressuring me, nobody's forcing me to do anything, nobody's bullying me. And if you try to do any of this, and I will say this, maybe it's not the smartest approach, but this is my approach. If anyone in my life, even a boss, doesn't matter who, would do any of these things towards me, even if initially I would have been willing to accept to do something, I don't know, maybe it was to go to a party or to, I don't know, something. Maybe what that individual wants to convince me to do, it's innocent, right? But just the idea that you try to bully me, to intimidate me, to force me to do something, to impose something on me, I will refuse. I will refuse to do it. Period. Just like this. Because I don't allow you to do this to me. It doesn't matter what you're asking me to do. The way you position yourself to me, that is not okay. It's threatening. I don't accept this, and I will not accept it. Because let me tell you something. Usually, what happens, they will not start to ask you directly, go kill a person. Initially, they will start to pressure you with small things. Oh, come on, you have to fit in, you should do this and that. And I would always say, actually, I had these discussions with many people. Who says I should do this? I say, who are you? Why would your thinking matter to me? Who says? And they will say, but everybody does it. I don't care. Who's everybody? Who says? Actually, I had this discussion with an individual who was harassing me and trying to force me into a different lifestyle. And he kept saying, everybody does this. And I actually said, but who says that everybody is right? Maybe I am right and you are all wrong. Who says this? Give me an authority figure which I recognize as an authority that will decide that this is the way to go for me. If I don't want to, I don't want to. I don't even have to explain myself to you. I don't have to ask permission, and I don't have to explain myself to you. If you're pressuring me and you're trying to bully me and stuff like this, this will be my approach. If you're talking nicely to me and you try to convince me because you want to go together at a party or something like this, that's a different story. Okay, but if you try to pressure me and to bully me into doing something, it really doesn't matter to me what you're asking me to do. Maybe you're not asking me to do something wrong, but the fact that you have this approach with me, that already cuts off any dialogue between us. I am telling you. And this, I mean, I cannot impose to other people what to do. But I believe this is, for me, this was a successful approach, even if some people hated me for this. But I don't care. The fact of the matter is that I always kept my straight path, and I never allowed anybody to pressure me to do anything that I didn't want, and anything that I didn't feel comfortable with, or anything that I didn't believe it's the correct thing to do. And preserving your free will decision on different matters in your life is extremely important. And this is a matter of daily choices that you make regarding specific things to do, but also regarding people that you allow in your life. And I will say the following. As well as everybody else, I also had friends, close friends, some of my friends that I actually really cared for, that were trying to do this to me. And I would just cut them off. And let me say this, life proved to me that those people were not my friends. And that somewhere down the line, they went on the wrong path, and they would have pressured me to go with them probably, if we would have been friends. Now, I don't know why, I mean, I don't feel like I'm some sort of authority to tell you how to behave. I can only share the way I view things, and to the extent to which you feel comfortable with taking that approach. This is very important, and it's very important because to me it means that you preserve your integrity and your space, your boundaries. You preserve the decision making. People understand that they can invite you to do things with them or to share different experiences or whatever, but they cannot pressure you. Since I was very little child, I felt like this is very dangerous. Even with my parents, I tell you this, even with my parents when I was a small child, I wouldn't accept this, that they would pressure me. Actually, my father always used to say that you don't cooperate. You don't cooperate because he said, he used to say that I was stubborn. But the point of the matter is that nobody should impose decisions on anybody else, because everybody at the end of the day is responsible. And let me say this, if somebody convinces you to do something wrong, when push comes to shove, you will pay the consequences. That person will never say, I'm responsible for what this individual has done because I pressured him to do this. This is not going to happen. And I know all kind of tactics that they use in order to achieve this. And I have been through experiences like this. But even in the later in the spiritual warfare, you can find this reflected. And actually the entire spiritual warfare is based, a lot of it, it's based on these techniques of bullying, pressuring, and intimidating you, changing your belief system, making you to doubt yourself and to follow others and stuff like this. But this is also why I believe that I was right in this approach, because I had a very strong conviction and very clear principles and very clear boundaries on these issues, which mattered to me, not in general like a crazy person to just reject any proposal, but not to accept this kind of negative behavior, because this is negative behavior. When somebody, you must understand, you give up power over you when you do this because you're pressured. And this is important. And check yourself. If you have a friend who pressured you or bullied you into doing something many times, then all of a sudden decide, okay, I will refuse this person today. And do this as a test, just to see how easy it is for you to actually stand up and refuse. You will see that the more you accept to be pressured and bullied and forced into a decision which wouldn't be your decision normally, you will see that you give up power, and it's harder and harder for you to stand up to that individual. This is giving up power. When somebody behaves like this is giving up power, basically. This is very serious. I had this approach always, as I said, since a young child. I didn't always rationalize it. It was more of an instinct. But of course, as I started growing up, I confronted more and more of these people trying to bully me or convince me or intimidate me into doing something. And then I started rationalizing it, and I understood, first of all, that I don't have to feel guilty for refusing, and I don't have to accept this kind of behavior. Again, I say, even if what that person is demanding from you is not necessarily something 100% evil, just the fact that is trying to pressure you and to intimidate you and to bully you, that should already tell you this is not somebody that you need to be around, because again, it's taking power over you. And maybe that individual does it unconsciously. Maybe it's not something directed to harm you. But the fact of the matter is that you create this pattern in your behavior of accepting to be bullied. And in order to be successful in spiritual fighting, you must be able to deal with this kind of approaches, because you will encounter it not only with individuals but also in astral, in spiritual terms. They will continue to do this, and much of the attacks are being sent in these forms of bullying. Much of the levitation is done this way. So you can always reject it. And usually these people that do this consciously, and they aim to force you into a decision, they will use different arguments, to I don't know how to say, to make you feel embarrassed somehow if you refuse. Like you would be doing something wrong, or you wouldn't be good enough or something. And God keeps showing to me, to give you an example. There was a woman, there are many women actually who stole my identity. Anyhow, one of them particularly was extremely persistent in doing all sorts of attacks in astral at me with this kind of approach of bullying, and basically this was just a continuation of her approach in life. Otherwise, essentially, she was very upset at my style of living. At that particular time, I didn't know much about her initially when this started. And I was not judging her. In general, I don't like to judge people if they go on their way. But if you start poking me and annoying me, then of course I will judge you. And at that particular time, I didn't really have an opinion. I wasn't judging her life. She had a totally different style of living than me, totally different values. There was no comparison between the two of us. We were like two people from two different worlds, although we were colleagues at the office. We worked in the same environment, but completely different individuals, right? And essentially, she was bullying me. She started bullying me more discreetly in 3D life, particularly with all sorts of posts on social media and so on. And her issue was basically, now that time has passed and I know a lot about her, and actually I fought her in astral enough, she was a hoe, basically. She was sleeping around with people. She was married and she was sleeping around with people and doing stuff, and basically just using sex as a weapon a lot in her relations with others. And she was not necessarily hiding it. She was very open with it, and her language was very colorful, which was not really common in that environment, in that networking, professional networking. As I said, in that environment, usually the behavior was according to certain norms of protocol and so on, even the language, right? And she was not necessarily following that, but I didn't care initially for her choices, because I was like, why do I care what she does? She can do whatever. It's her life, And then all of a sudden, she became very irritated with my style of living. And she was making all of these references in social media to the fact, and also sending me messages through individuals. Actually, she was sending individuals to me to tell me things. And literally, basically, she was advocating this freestyle living where people are in open relations and doing all sorts of stuff. And I found that very insulting, because I was like, who the fuck asked you? Did I ask your opinion? I mean, your style of living is pretty obvious. Your flashing out everywhere to everyone your opinions about sexuality, and usually in whatever you have to say you include references to sexuality pretty often, so it's pretty clear your options. I didn't ask you what options and what choices you made in life. Who the fuck told you that I need your advice? You know, that was what I thought in my mind. But in my mind, I was like, I'm not gonna waste time with stupid hoe. You know, let her do whatever. No, because she didn't come directly to me to tell me. She was sending individuals to me to tell me, and she was posting things on social media, so I will see. But it was clear that it was the same message which I received from individuals. Anyway, then she started bullying me in Astral, and in Astral she started being much more open with accusations, you know, and she would always try, like, you know, the usual approach of people who do bullying professionally, sort of say that you're not woman enough, that you're not sexy enough because you don't prostitute yourself, basically, because you don't sleep around. That was her problem. The idea was that she had different groups of doing this, and she was not pleased because I did not want to interfere with them. I'm not even talking about joining them, but I was like, okay, I don't need to be even socializing with these individuals because obviously we have nothing in common. What should we talk? And she kept doing this bullying, which I imagine this happens always when you are under pressure. And God kept showing to me this, that many people are under pressure, and many of them chose this way, not because they wanted, but just because they were bullied and they wanted to fit in. But I believe this is wrong. And I don't know to what extent my approach would help anyone, but basically I just usually dismiss them very simply and cut them off. You know, even in Astral, you know, when she kept saying to me, some of the things she said are really colorful and probably not appropriate to repeat them here on YouTube. But basically, that was the message, that she's such a hot chick because she's fucking around so many men, and that I'm so stupid and sort of like, how do you say this, a monk. Stuck up in spirituality and with Jesus, and I don't go to do these things with them and stuff like this, you know. So, and she was doing this for some time. So I told her, listen, how at this point in time, you are harvesting energy from me in order to fuck men. So, among the two of us, most clearly, you are not the most sexy one. You are not the most desired one because you are incapable of having sex with them if you don't steal energy from somebody else. So, in your place, I would just go the fuck, sit in the mirror and ask yourself what kind of woman you are, that men don't desire you unless you steal my energy. Okay, now this is an example. I don't know why God chose this example for me to give, because God was not very pleased. Actually, he actually told me every time, don't speak to them. And I was like, you know what, I'm fed up with this hoe telling me this stupid shit, and I will answer, just let me be. I will not let her say all these stupid things to me. And at some point, basically, well, she continued to attack me. It didn't stop, but she changed the topic, you know. So I guess my message is that when you're bullied, you turn the table around. You don't stay there to be bullied. If you, I can be a very nice person, but if you do this to me, if you try to somehow aggress me in bullying me, intimidating me, slandering me, or stuff like this, I will turn the table around and I will fuck up your day as you cannot imagine. That you need at least a few hours to sit down and you're gonna be asking yourself what happened. It's simple like this. This is in my this is what God wanted me to say. Okay, yeah, this is what you do. I mean, they are aggressive towards you. You have to be aggressive towards them. Period. This always has been my approach, because there is no other way to put them in their place. But if you do this, you will see that they will leave you alone. And you can follow your path, you can follow your focus, and you will win the war. That's the point. And this is what you have to do. I don't even know to whom God, who is supposed to listen to this. I guess God has somebody that is watching my channel and needs to hear this. Literally, there's a lot about attitude. In order to end such behavior, you have to answer with the same attitude that they have towards you, because otherwise it's never ending story. You're just gonna and it's not only that, but then they through all this aggression, they succeed in basically invading your space with a lot of negativity, which you can let it slide for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month, but then it's gonna start affecting you. It's gonna start affecting you. So this is my usual answer to bullying. Again, I will turn the table on you, and I will hit you so hard that it will take a few hours for you to recover and to understand what happened. That's the only way that you can end bullying and aggression and intention of intimidating and stuff like this. And actually, I have no empathy for those who do this. I have no empathy, because that's clear that something wrong with you, and you need to go sit somewhere with yourself and figure out what is wrong with you, not to disturb my peace and to try to divert me from my path. So I think in all of these, it's very important to understand that this is a psychological war dimension. Whoever is doing this, that's engaging in psychological war with you. And you can just Google psychological warfare and try to see what are the strategies to deal with it. But it's never, when they become this obvious and they are invading your space, you literally have to turn the table around. There is no other way. You cannot just be nice to them, simply because they will not end it, and they will become even more aggressive. It's not that I'm encouraging anyone to be aggressive, but there are times when you need to be aggressive, period, in order to make sure that you not only create boundaries, but you impose your boundaries, and you make sure that people don't overstep your boundaries. And again, this can be whoever. I put in their place many people, including my boss, including my parents. Everybody has to know this. Nobody is bullying you into making decisions. And nobody's intimidating you, nobody's manipulating you emotionally, because this is another dimension of bullying, to manipulate you emotionally, and so on and so forth. There are many dimensions to it, but the approach is to cut them off. Now, it always depends exactly what they say, because some of them are probably more subtle than this hoe, who was saying all sorts of obscene things to me. So I figured to calm her down, you know, literally. And I don't think I did something wrong, because it was unacceptable what she was doing, and specifically the language that she was using, and so on. So I think I did pretty well, that I put her in her place, and it didn't. It wasn't enough to say it just one time. I needed to say it a few times and to become even more aggressive to her, so she will stop. Because she had all this obsession that she would constantly nag me and just tell me that if you don't do like her, she was prostituting herself, and she still is. Then you're not woman enough, which I think is stupid. And I think it's unacceptable, first of all. Who the fuck you are to have an opinion on this? Who the fuck you are? I mean, I even told her, and I believe that I got through to her, you know, because I told her, listen, you suck dick so they can listen to you. Do you look in the mirror from time to time and wonder who the fuck you became? How the fuck is this even possible that you don't value yourself at all as a human? Forget as a woman. As a human. How the fuck you do this? What is missing in your life that you need to be doing this? So I believe that basically, as long as you keep your focus and you understand that as long as you already started a spiritual fighting consciously, all that happens to you has a spiritual dimension. So I think I explained already, and I don't want to start it again because I see it's 31 minutes, and I thought this is going to be a very short video. Essentially, it's psychological warfare. Please go Google and you will see all the ways in which you deal with psychological warfare situations, and I think you will find answers, a lot of answers to this question. And this is, of course, for those who actually do have questions, namely on how to deal with individuals who bully them. Don't ever be ashamed. Don't ever be uncomfortable with putting them in their place, because they will never be uncomfortable, uneasy, or ashamed to throw you under the bus when the pay up time will come for consequences derived from whatever they convinced you to do. So I think I'm gonna stop here. I don't know for who this is. I hope this is useful. It was definitely God's choice that I would speak about this. So therefore, this means somebody is definitely interested in this topic.